But we just added a box element. That's what we've done here. We'll go back to the editor. And then I want to make sure that I show you a couple more elements. So in the elements area, we not only have boxes, but we have buttons, contact forms, email marketing forms, iframe, image, menu, text, and video. So what's the difference between a contact form and an email marketing form? That's going to be a huge question, I'm sure, because it always was in Pixel Perfect. So a contact form is the ability to forward the information from the contact form when they fill it out and they hit submit. You can forward that to an email instead of mailing boss. Okay, that's the value of a contact form. So let's say I had someone outside of Builderall I built a website for, and they have an opt-in form, but they're not in Builderall, so they're not going to be able to get their email. They're not going to be able to get into Mailing Boss and set up their email. So you could actually set it up. So instead of it sending to Mailing Boss, you can send it straight to them via email. So each time a person fills out the opt-in form, it creates an email, sends it to whatever email you want to send it to, and then that person can do whatever they want with the lead. So that's a contact form and how it works. Real easy to set up. And then the email marketing form is strictly designed to connect to Mailing Boss and add the lead that you have to your Mailing Boss list. So that's the difference between the contact form and an email marketing form. You have full control over what they look like. So if I click contact form, you can see that we've got just pretty well basic forms, but you can change any of that and make it look exactly how you want to. Same way with the email marketing form. If I click there, we've got just some basic designs, and you can take any of those designs, just pick the one that looks the closest to what you want, and then start working on the design. So I'm going to add a blank panel. We're going to kind of play a little bit. So we go up to blank panel, and it's added it down at the bottom. So this is my playground panel, and I'm going to go to elements, and we're going to add a contact form real quick. So I just take this first one, drag it in. It looks like I don't have it, but if I drop it, it sure enough drops on the panel. So then when I click on it, I've got this great little mini toolbar, and it tells me what this object is. I have the center button, so I can center it in the panel. And then the next button is the most important. You didn't see this on the box, but you'll see it on items that have more configurations than just style settings. They have actions, and this form has action. So I'm going to click this little action icon, and when I do, I get to fill out the information on where the results go to. So I can put an email in there of where to send the results. I can put the subject line of that email when it sends. So let's say that I've got a website on underwater basket weaving, and I've got an opt-in form there, and it's a contact form. And when they fill out the form, it sends me the email. In the subject line, it might say lead from your underwater basket weaving website. That way, when I get that email, I know exactly what's in that email, which is a lead. Then you can actually add or delete your fields. So right now, this field has first name, last name, email, and phone number. I can edit them right there. So there's the label, the tag. Is it required? Yes or no. So do they have to fill it out or not? Is it visible? Meaning, is it a visible item field, or do we want to make it hidden? Hidden fields have a lot of value. That's kind of an advanced training, so we'll cover that in advanced training. And then help text. This is to help explain what to do if they're not sure what to put in a field. So if you've got a paragraph field and they know they're supposed to type something in there, but they don't know what they're supposed to type, you can put in a help text and say, don't forget to describe your best quality in yourself. That way they know what to put inside that paragraph field. So you can fill all those out and then click save. And then if there's a field that you don't want, like say the phone number, I can click delete, and it should take it out. And so I deleted the email, and I saw the first name and the last name. So we can also add back. So if I click plus, I can add a text box, a text area, a checkbox, a radio, a select like checkmark fields, date and time. So I'm going to just add a text field, and in this text, I'm going to call it the email, and I'm going to tag it email. And is it required? Yes. Is it visible? Yes. And they won't need any help. And I'm going to click save. And so now I've added that back in, and we can click save. And so now I've got first name, last name, and email. So that's how I configure the settings on what happens with this contact form. is that little action icon on the mini toolbar. Now, if I want to hide this form, because maybe I'm working with something, want to just hide it and get it out of the way, I can click hide, I can duplicate this, or I can trash it. So that's the mini toolbar on what I can do with that object, that element. Now, if I right click, it takes me to style settings, and this is where I can make it look how I want it to look. So over here, I set up the action. Over here, I set up how I want it to look. So in general settings, I can have the labels showing. So you can see the labels right there, or I can have them not showing. I can have the placeholders showing, which is right there, or I can have them not showing. I can choose to show the labels and have nothing in the fields, or I can show both. My personal preference is to turn off the labels and keep the placeholders on. The next one is size. So this is the size that your button is. It's not real descriptive what that is, but if I make it smaller or make it larger, this is the percentage of space that it takes up on the form. So this is 100% width, and this is right there is about 50% of the width. I like 100%. I really like it all the way across. The next one is input style. So in these input field areas, what styles do I want? So on the font style, I can change the font. I can change the size to make the size a little bit bigger for that text. Input height, I can make those boxes a little bit higher. I can also create borders around my items. So I can make it like a wood, solid, and then a light gray, like that. So you can barely see it, but you can see the boxes. And then I'll get rid of that color picker. I can also do a radius on those. Let's do a 20 just on the top, not the bottom. And we'll see what that looks like. So you can see my top part is rounded and my bottom is squared. So that creates kind of some real interesting effect on the actual fields. And then the background color of the input fields, right now it's white. If I wanted to do red, oops, I gotta right click. I want to do red. And I fought with this yesterday and the background color didn't work very well. So I think that's still not working. Let's go to preview and we'll see. Preview. Nope, still not working. So the background color is not working. That's actually into the developers, but I could move it back to white just to be sure. And oops, move it back to white. There we go. And then we've got the background of the button. So the background, the input style, right here, the input background color, that's the background color for the fields. This is the background color for the button. So this one I can change. So if I want to change it to like an orangey color, a yellowy color, like this maybe. There we go. That's, I can change it to orangey color for the button itself. And then the hover color, maybe I want to do that kind of a reddish color. There we go. So now let's take a look at what that looks like in the preview. So if I preview it, you can see that I can actually see that hover color changing. Okay. So back to the editor, I'm going to get that color picker out of the way. I'll go to border, and I can set the border for this. You right click again. So border, set it at 4 and dotted line. So you can see that I have a border around that button if I want to. I don't really want a border, so I'm going to set it at 0. And then radius, and the radius on this is set at 60. To me, that's pretty high for curves. So I'm going to go 20, 20, 20, 20. And there we go. We've got a button that has rounded corners, but it's a little bit square too. So I've got a little bit of design capability there to make it exactly what I want it to be. And then I'll right click it again, and I'll go to button headline. And this is where we set up the text on the button. So right here, I can say join us today. There we go. So join us today. Now that's looking a little bit small, so I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. There we go. Make it a lot bigger, and I'll bold it because I can. And I can also add an icon. We've got a lot of icons that are available. So if I click show icon, it's going to show me a big old list of icons. And if I kind of know what I want, like maybe an arrow, I can type in the word arrow and then just click search. And it's going to find everything that's an arrow for me. And there's quite a few of them. And from there, I can actually choose an arrow to add. So I'll just add this one right here. All I got to do is click it and then click select, and it will add it to the item. I don't know why it's not showing. Didn't add it. So let's try it again. Show list, arrow. We'll add that arrow, I guess, and show. And no dice. So this was working as of yesterday, but today I guess it's not working. Also on the align, if you choose the icon and it shows up like it's supposed to, then you can choose, do you want it on this side of the text or on that side of the text? And then once it shows up, usually it's right butted up against the lettering. So what I do is go in and put one space in there. So you've got the little icon, a space, and then the letters, and that spaces it out a lot better. I'm not sure why it's not showing up, but we'll make sure that the developers know. The next one is the button subheadline, and I can do some subtext. So I can say something like limited seats are available, and that will add to the button. And again, it's not adding. I don't know why it's not adding. This is working yesterday. But you can also change the style of the subheading too. So based on what I have done, it should say limited seats are available, and it should say that right here. And we'll pick the color to see if maybe it's a color issue. So I'll go here. Oh, yep, it's a color issue. So let me go to white. There we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and click a little bit larger, like that. Fabulous. And we'll see if that was the other issue that I had. The icon might have been a color issue. It might be there, but I can't see it because of the color. Let me do this and this and this. Nope, still not showing. So not sure what's going on with the icon, but I'll definitely get that to the developers so they can see it. But as you can see, I've got a lot of control over what things look like, how they're put together. And this was just a basic form that now I've taken it and customized it to fit into my website. And let's take a preview of it so you can see what it looks like in the live mode. And I'm going to go back to the editor, and we're going to take a look at this in mobile view. So I'm going to go to mobile, and you'll see that when we look at it, this button right here is like humunga dunga. And so you may not like that, the way it looks on the way that form looks on your mobile. So you can actually click it and hide it. You can't delete it, but you can hide it. And then you can say, I don't really want that to show. And then on here, panel, maybe element, we can actually add a different panel in here. Let's see if we can do that. So I'm going to add a blank one. So there's a blank panel right there. And then if I go to elements, I can add a different contact form in there. Maybe. It may let me, it may not. I don't think it's ready for this. But you can develop your own option to put a different opt-in in that panel so that you have a completely different one from the desktop. And you can set that button the way you want it, and it won't change anything on the desktop. Because remember, in the element area, if I right-clicked on that panel, let's do show hidden elements and simple form. So I returned it. If I right-click on this and I go to the settings, all of these settings right here will change the desktop as well. So that's the big thing you need to remember is style settings. Everything in here is specifically for desktop. So if you change it, it will change. If you change it on mobile, it will change it on desktop. That's probably the single most important thing to understand about the mobile version is anything in the style settings is going to affect desktop. I can go into advanced, and again, I have that ability to do padding. So I can create some padding that doesn't really change the button part. So we'll be definitely working with developers on the button part of the form because that's the most challenging to get it the right size. And we'll find that trusty little form. Maybe. There we go. And I'll right click it. And here's general settings, input style, background, border, radius, button, headlines, general settings, size. So yeah, all I have is the width of the button. So I think the way I worked through it was when I went to the button headline, I actually made the font fit the size of the button. That's how I did it. And then I did no sub headline. So I took that out.
If you are raised, yeah.
So that's how I did it. If I make that input style, or sorry, button size, button headline, if I make that smaller, it kind of sizes to the text. Let me darken my, so input style, blah, 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 border, no, that's for the button. Oh my gosh, input style, input radius, input border. There we go. We'll darken this up a little bit so we can see it better. All right, so now I'm seeing those fields really well. So right here is where I can change the height of them.
Where's that again?
It's you right click it and go to style settings, and then go to input style. Right. And then on input style, you've got input height. So you can't really change specifically this spacing, but it does make the fields bigger.
That's what I was asking about.
Yeah, I haven't seen a place yet where we can change the spacing like between the fields. Let me darken my, so input style, blah, 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 border, no, that's for the button. Oh my gosh, input style, input radius, input border. There we go. We'll darken this up a little bit so we can see it better. All right, so now I'm seeing those fields really well. So right here is where I can change the height of them.
Where's that again?
It's you right click it and go to style settings, and then go to input style. Right. And then on input style, you've got input height. So you can't really change specifically this spacing, but it does make the fields bigger.
That's what I was asking about.
Yeah, I haven't seen a place yet where we can change the spacing like between the fields. I'm in my thingy, and I'm gonna go to add and elements, and we'll do email marketing. We'll go here to a blank panel. Move. And we'll just pull in this one because that looks good. Blue is my favorite color. Try it again. And it's being cantankerous.
Did you need a box or no?
Yeah, I have a panel. But here's what I'm gonna do when it's cantankerous like this, is I'm gonna click save. So I click save, and now I'm gonna refresh it, and we'll see what it does. I think when I do that, yeah, there we go. When I do that, it's gonna reload everything, and now I'm gonna try it again. So add element, email marketing form. Email marketing form. Oh, no, I got to click on this email marketing form. There we go. Shelly got it. All right, the first thing it asks you to do is to pick a list. So I just pick that list right there and click select. And now what we're looking for is, what were we looking for again?
We were looking for just adding it on to the actual page, because it doesn't have it doesn't have like the background, the box, and you know what I mean? Like it doesn't have that size of just the email marketing form. It used to look like it had a box that was the background.
I think for that, you'd have to add a box in there like this. And if you want that box to be the background, then you could drop it on the box like that.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Right, so you can do that, or there's a lot of configure you can do. So just on the form itself, if you right click, you've got all the same type of settings that you had on the contact form. So there's the size for the button, input style, so that's going to change those fields and what they look like, general settings, so we can get rid of the labels, And then input style, we can make that font a little bit bigger. And then input height, we can make that a little bit taller. Input border, we'll make that a little bit darker gray. That. And let's see. Input radius, we'll leave it like that. Input background color, I think that's the one that wasn't working. And background, so on the button, what's the color of the button and the color of the hover color, border, radius, button headline, and sub headline. So button headline, make that a little bit bigger. There you go. So right now we've got a lot of power actually to change what it looks like. But if you want like a specific color, like all the way behind it, then I would build it and put it on top of a box. And then we have the ability, once you put it on top of the box, I can drag that box around and it's going to go with it.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And I do want to test something. I want to test if it's going to center on the box. Yep. So it centers onto what it's attached. So you can click that center button and that form will center on the box instead of right on the, well, let me make sure. I'm going to do this. Move it over and then center. Yeah, so since it's attached to the box, it's centering on the box, not necessarily on the panel. Okay.
And were you able to make the input fields longer as part of, you know what I mean, as far as the stuff?
Let's see. Input style. So input height.
No, longer instead of the height.
Oh, so wider.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Okay. So that's what that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.